Okay, so we're going deep on PostgreSQL 17 today.
Right.
Specifically, we're looking at logical replication,
Yeah.
and there's this really interesting new utility, pgcreate_subscriber.
Yeah. Definitely worth a deep dive.
I think this could be a huge time saver for anyone who uses PostgreSQL replicas,
Totally agreed.
especially in production environments.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, uh, logical replication, just for anyone who might be new to this, can you
Yeah.
give us like a super quick explanation of what it is and why it's so important?
Sure. So, logical replication basically allows you to create copies of your data
Okay.
that are independent of the main database.
Right.
So you can use these copies for things like offloading read traffic, taking some of the load off your main database.
Right.
Or you can use them for things like reporting and analytics,
Yeah, that makes sense.
where you don't want to be querying your live production database.
Exactly.
So it's super flexible. But the traditional setup process, especially that initial data sync, can be, well, it can be really time-consuming.
Yeah, especially if you've got a really big database, right?
Exactly. Yeah, for massive data sets, it can take hours
Yeah.
or even days to get everything synced up.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the pain point that this new pgcreate_subscriber utility is trying to address.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
It's like they looked at that problem and said, okay, how can we make this way faster and more efficient?
Yeah. So how does it actually work?
So traditionally, when you set up logical replication, you would start by taking like a base backup of your database.
Right.
And then you would replay all of the write-ahead logs, the WAL-EL, to bring the replica up to date.
Yeah.
Which is thorough, it gets everything.
Right.
But it is slow.
It's slow.
Yeah.
Very slow.
So what pgcreate_subscriber does is it leverages an existing streaming replica.
Oh, interesting.
So you have a streaming replica that's already in sync with your primary database.
Right.
And it essentially converts that streaming replica into a logical replica.
Oh, wow.
So it skips that whole initial sync process entirely.
Okay. Yeah.
It's really clever.
Yeah. So you're basically just kind of like switching it over instead of having to do all that.
Yeah, that's what
initial setup.
You're just kind of saying, hey, you're a logical replica now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, much faster.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a podcast that really went deep on this and shared some impressive test results.
Yeah, they ran a test with a 30-gigabyte database.
Wow.
And setting up a logical replica the traditional way
Right.
took them about 24 minutes.
Oof.
And most of that time was spent on that initial sync, as you can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then they used pgcreate_subscriber with a streaming replica.
Right.
And they got it done in 5 minutes.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
I mean, that's like I've literally pulled all-nighters before waiting for replicas to sync.
I can imagine.
So this would have been a lifesaver, honestly.
Yeah, I bet it.
But, I have to ask, like, it sounds almost too good to be true. Are there any downsides? Like, are there situations where this wouldn't be the best approach?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So while pgcreate_subscriber is great for replicating an entire database,
Right.
it's not the ideal solution if you only need to replicate a subset of tables.
Okay, so like if you just need certain tables, you're probably better off sticking with the traditional.
Yeah, in those cases, the traditional logical replication setup is still more efficient
Gotcha.
because you can specifically choose the tables that you want to replicate.
Right.
So, it's about using the right tool for the job.
Makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
Right tool for the job.
But thinking about this a little more broadly,
Yeah.
this new utility pgcreate_subscriber,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like it's part of a larger trend in PostgreSQL,
Yeah, absolutely.
This push for more flexibility
Yeah.
and efficiency in replication.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah, it's like they're giving you more control over how you replicate your data and making it easier to handle more complex scenarios.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, multi-master replication or things like that.
Right, right.
It's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool to see PostgreSQL evolving like this.
Yeah, it's definitely keeping up with the times.
So, to kind of wrap things up here,
Okay.
this new pgcreate_subscriber utility,
Yeah.
it's a potential game changer.
I would agree.
For anyone who's using logical replication in PostgreSQL,
Mm-hmm.
it streamlines the setup process.
Yeah.
Saves a ton of time and resources.
Yeah.
And just really opens up new possibilities for how you manage replicated data.
Totally.
Super exciting to see.
Yeah.
So I'd like to leave you with a thought,
Okay.
How could this new utility potentially change your disaster recovery strategy?
Mm.
Could it help you achieve faster restores?
Interesting.
Could it allow you to meet, more stringent recovery time objectives?
I'm going to have to think about that one.
Yeah, definitely something to explore.
I like it.
Thanks for listening.